Well, we're back with the Terex 7231. Little progress. We got it out of its holes, and it was sitting in for a while. We had a little runaway situation. It didn't get out of control or anything, but we had a bunch of oil in the air boxes on both sides. Pulled the covers off, drained it all out. I got to clean up the airbox drain tubes. If you look back there, you can see a fitting way back there. Goes down to this tube on both sides. My guess is they're plugged up. We probably maybe need blower seals too. I don't know, but we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. This metal line blue for the steering. I wanted to get rid of that ridiculous filter for it anyways. So I relocated a filter up there. I'll neaten it up later, but did away with this line and run it up there from the cooler down there up over to that filter, and then that line goes up to the hood and goes up to the tank. I'm going to eventually run it across the inside here. And then the steering, we also got our cables in, our new control cables. We pulled the seat up. I will be able to get an air compressor in here, I think. I'm gonna see if I can find one. I'm not sure what it's supposed to have for a transmission cooler, because there's a line that just goes in a loop right here. My assumption is that it probably had a water to oil cooler on the lower radiator hose on the 471. Maybe my dad did away with the transmission cooler. So we might look into that, maybe get some kind of a hydraulic oil cooler or something. But the reason I got this all taken apart is because I pulled the steering box out of it, because the steering box was seized up when I initially started messing with it. Couldn't hardly turn the steering wheel. The thing wouldn't steer, like, at all. It was a royal pain in the ass. So I pulled the steering box apart. Gonna have to replace some hoses. This is the pressure hose. Probably ought to do that. Pulled the steering box apart. It's right full of water and rust. Now, there is zero information out there on how this steering system works. Nothing I could find out there on how they work. So I had to kind of go in at it blind. So this right here sits inside of this housing. This bolt goes in this slot here, keeps this thing from turning. It pushes on a pin that rides in this slot. When you turn the wheel, it moves this pitman arm shaft, turns this pitman arm shaft, which pushes against a rod that pushes against the front of the machine. This goes on this housing here. This goes like this. Hang on. So this thing goes in this housing, and as this shaft screws up and down, when it screws up and down, it takes this slot and moves this valve. So when you turn the wheel, let's say the shaft comes up, it pushes down on this valve, which then makes it diverts fluid to the pistons to make it turn. And then when it turns, it pushes back on the pitman shaft, which then pushes back on the worm, which then centers this valve and makes the fluid stop flowing. Kind of an interesting design. But as you can see, these bearings are wiped. They've been wiped for quite some time. which is why the steering sucked so bad. Along with this nut, it was all loosened up all the way. It was all flopping around. Also, the end of this ball is a little worn. It's a little worn where it fits in here too. I'm hoping with a little Bridgeport work we can fix that up. I ordered some new bearings. These are 2 3/8 OD 2-inch ID bearings, needle bearings. We're gonna get this steering wheel off and get this shaft out of this tube. I'm gonna put it in the lathe. This is steel. As you can see by the nice clean machining marks, this is steel. So I'm gonna weld this whole thing up on both ends, weld it all the way around, put it in the lathe, turn it down to 2-inch. The original size is right there, 2-inch, but the end is all worn. Same thing up here, all pitted and worn. So I'm gonna turn this down to the right, so it's good again. It looks like the bottom of this worm is all worn, but the top doesn't look too bad. My guess is it only uses a short throw of the actual worm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition this pitman shaft on the pitman arm to utilize the top part of the worm instead of the bottom part of the worm. Still going to be a little bit loose, but it's going to be so much better. Because if this doesn't work, I'm going to go for like $850 on eBay. I can order a orbital steering valve for like a newer TA30 Terex rock truck or something. It'd be probably just about right. Closed center orbital steering valve. But that'd be a lot of work to rig it up in there. So I'm gonna try to make this work. If I can get it acceptable, I'll be happy. And then instead of putting gear oil in this box, I'm probably gonna pump it full of grease, because maybe a little bit of gear oil and grease, or like maybe the kind of oil you put in a snowblower gearbox where it's really, really, really thick, because the seal is wiped in here. The thing isn't going to hold gear oil. It's not going to hold gear oil. So I'm going to put something else in there. Like I said, either pump it full of grease or some kind of thick hybrid oil. So yeah, that's where we're at. What else? If anybody out there has a planetary, I need a planetary, the outer planet ring, or I forget what you call it. The outer ring is broken. I'm also missing one of the planet gears. I have everything else. So if anybody out there has one of these in their scrap pile, has a planetary, I would be willing to buy some parts from you, because it's only 3-wheel drive right now. Luckily, the rear is locked. It has like a locker in it, so it does actually have 3-wheel drive. My dad did the best he could to keep track of the parts, but one gear is lost and the piece of the broken planetary is lost. Otherwise, I'd try to weld it back in there, but whatever. We'll do a little machining. I'll try to get a short video of the process of that, of what I'm doing here, maybe some pictures or something, I'm not sure. I didn't video all of this because I forgot my camera at home. I'm now taking the video on my phone because I forgot the camera again. I wanted to get a video before I went any farther on this. But yeah, so that's where we're at. I'll keep you updated. I guess this is part 3. See ya.